My wife told me she was pregnant on a Tuesday evening, standing in our kitchen with both hands wrapped around a white mug. She looked nervous, but I mistook it for excitement. Then she said, "You're going to be a dad," and I felt something inside me go completely still. I'm Daniel. I'm 39, and until that moment, I believed I knew my wife, Claire, better than anyone alive. We'd been married for 11 years. We owned a small house outside Manchester, had a comfortable routine, and although we'd talked about having children, it had never happened. We tried for years without success. Eventually, Claire started saying maybe it simply wasn't meant to be. So when she told me she was pregnant, I expected happiness. I expected to hug her, laugh, maybe even cry. Instead, the first thing I noticed was that she stepped back when I reached for her. It was subtle. Most people wouldn't have seen it. I did. "Are you okay?" I asked. "Of course," she said quickly. "I'm just overwhelmed." I wanted to believe her. So I did. For the next 2 weeks, I tried to be the perfect husband. I made dinner. I researched doctors. I started calculating how we could turn the spare room into a nursery. Claire, however, seemed strangely distant. Every conversation about the baby made her tense. Then the small things began bothering me. Her phone never left her hand. She suddenly started working late twice a week. And one Friday night, I woke up at 2 in the morning and found her sitting alone in the living room, crying while staring at her screen. When she saw me, she immediately turned the phone over. "Who were you talking to?" I asked. "No one." That answer stayed with me. A few days later, my friend Marcus came over to help me fix a leaking pipe. Claire had gone shopping, and while we worked, Marcus asked how everything was going. I told him about the pregnancy. He congratulated me, then hesitated. I noticed. "What?" "Nothing." "Marcus." He looked uncomfortable. "Daniel, don't take this the wrong way, but has Claire been traveling for work?" My stomach tightened. "Why?" He rubbed the back of his neck. "I saw her a couple months ago at a hotel near the motorway. I wasn't even sure it was her." I stared at him. "When?" "Late March, maybe. She was outside with some people." "What people?" "I don't know. Men." He immediately regretted saying it. I said nothing for several seconds. Then I remembered. Late March was when Claire told me she had an overnight training course in Liverpool. I told Marcus it was probably nothing. But that night, I searched our shared calendar. The training course was marked there. So was something else. A restaurant reservation. Not in Liverpool. In Birmingham. I hadn't made it. My hands started shaking. I checked our bank statements. The hotel charge Claire had described as a company expense was there. But so were 4 separate restaurant payments made throughout the same weekend. One bill. Then another. Then another. 4 different men's names appeared beside them. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed to know if I was becoming paranoid or if my entire life was built on a lie. The next morning, Claire kissed my cheek and said she was going to see her sister. I watched her drive away. Then I called Marcus. "Do you remember the hotel?" He was silent. "Daniel, are you sure?" "No. That's why I'm asking." He gave me the name. I drove there immediately. The receptionist couldn't tell me anything. Privacy rules. I expected that. But while standing near the entrance, something caught my eye. A framed photograph from a charity event. The event had taken place the same weekend Claire was supposedly attending training. There she was. My wife. Standing in the center of the photograph. And around her were 4 men. I recognized one name from the restaurant charges. Then another. My chest went cold. I photographed the picture and walked outside. For nearly an hour, I sat in my car staring at my phone. 4 men. 1 weekend. A secret trip. And now a pregnancy. I wanted to call Claire and scream. I wanted to demand the truth. But something stopped me. Because if I was right, confronting her would only give her time to build a better lie. So I went home and acted normal. That evening, Claire sat beside me on the sofa. Her hand rested gently on her stomach. "You're quiet," she said. "Long day." She smiled. Then she took my hand and placed it over her belly. "Can you believe this?" she whispered. "Our baby. Our baby." The words felt rehearsed. That night, after she fell asleep, I unlocked her old laptop. Claire had forgotten I knew the password. I searched through recent files, emails, and messages. At first, nothing. Then I found a hidden folder. Inside were dozens of photographs. Hotel corridors. Restaurant tables. For men. Claire. And one message that made my blood run cold. It was sent 3 days after the Birmingham trip. Claire had written, "I need to know which one of you it could be." I read it again. And again. Then another message appeared below it. A man had replied, "Are you seriously pregnant?" My breathing stopped. Claire had known about the pregnancy before telling me. And she hadn't been asking whether the baby was mine. She'd been trying to figure out which of the 4 men was the father. Then I heard the bedroom floor creak behind me. I slowly turned around. Claire was standing in the doorway. She looked at the screen. Then at me. And for the first time in 11 years, I saw absolutely no way she could explain what I had just found. Claire stood in the doorway for several seconds without saying anything. I expected panic. Instead, she closed her eyes. "How much did you see?" she asked. I laughed once, but there was nothing funny in it. "Enough to know you lied to me." She walked toward the bed. "Daniel, please let me explain." "Explain which part? The 4 men? The hotel? Or the message asking which one got you pregnant?" "I was drunk," she whispered. I stared at her. "For an entire weekend. It wasn't supposed to happen." "That's your explanation." She started crying then, but I felt strangely calm. After imagining betrayal for days, the truth made everything clear. I pointed at the screen. "Who are they?" Claire wiped her face. "People from the event." "All 4. She nodded. I asked the question slowly. "Did you sleep with them?" Her silence answered before her mouth did. "Not all at once," she said. I looked away. She kept talking, desperate now. "The first night, I met someone at the bar. Then things got stupid. The next day, I panicked. I felt disgusting. I didn't know how to deal with it." "So you slept with 3 more men?" I wasn't thinking clearly. "No," I said. "You were making choices." That was when she finally broke. She dropped onto the edge of the bed and covered her face. Then I asked the only question that mattered. "When did you know you were pregnant?" "About 3 weeks ago." "And when did you tell me?" 2 weeks ago." "So for an entire week, you knew the baby might not be mine." She looked up. I was scared. "You called it our baby." "I hoped it was yours." That sentence hit harder than everything else. Not because she admitted uncertainty. Because she admitted hope was all she had. Just a gamble. I stood up and walked out of the bedroom. "Daniel, where are you going?" "To get some air." I drove to Marcus's house. When he opened the door, he looked at my face and knew immediately. She admitted it. I nodded. He just moved aside. The next morning, I called a solicitor. His advice was simple: don't agree to anything, and get a paternity test as soon as legally possible. When I returned home, Claire was sitting at the kitchen table. "I'll do the test," she said before I spoke. I nodded. Then she said something I will never forget. "But if it's yours, you're still going to forgive me, right?" I stared at her. In her mind, the test was about whether she could keep me. I pulled out the chair across from her and sat down. "Claire, even if that child is biologically mine, I don't know if I can ever trust you again." Her face collapsed. "But we can fix this. You had 11 years to protect this marriage." I made one mistake. "For men," I said quietly. "That's not one mistake." The test took several weeks. Claire stayed with her sister. We barely spoke. Her messages came constantly at first. Apologies, memories, then anger when I stopped responding. She accused me of abandoning her during pregnancy. Eventually, the result arrived. I sat in my solicitor's office while he opened the envelope. He read it. Then looked at me. "Daniel, you are not the biological father." I expected devastation. Instead, I felt relief. A clean, painful relief. There would be no lifetime connection forcing me to relive her betrayal. I walked outside and called Claire. She answered immediately. "What did it say?" I closed my eyes. "You already knew the answer was possible." "Daniel. It isn't mine," she cried. I ended the call. Months later, the divorce was finalized. Claire never discovered which man was the father. None wanted involvement. The man she chose to leave me for never existed. There was no better life waiting. There was only a weekend of lies, for strangers, and consequences she never expected. People ask me whether I hate her. I don't. I loved a version of Claire that no longer exists. Maybe she disappeared long before that weekend. Maybe I just refused to see it. But I learned something important. Sometimes the biggest betrayal is not the affair itself. It's watching someone gamble your entire future, then look you in the eye and ask you to carry the consequences as if they were yours. And for once, I didn't. I walked away. This time, I never looked back. Amazingly,